Good morning. I'm Gary DeWaal, and this is Bridging the Week for August 7th to 11th, and today is August 14, 2017. An affirmation by a federal appeals court of the conviction of the first trader prosecuted for spoofing under the 2010 Dodd-Frank Act, and a sanctions discount for a non-U.S. based banking entity that cooperated with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission after detecting spoofing activity, highlighted last week's financial services industry developments in the U.S. In addition, staff of the CFTC granted relief from certain mandatory advance notice filing requirements that certain persons would otherwise have had to comply with beginning on August 14th in order to disaggregate futures positions among affiliated entities for position limit calculation purposes. I need to run out and get a powerful pair of sunglasses to get ready to watch the big solar eclipse on August 21st. So I have plenty of time to get a good seat as close as possible. Let's get started. Last week, a 3-judge federal court of appeals panel in Chicago, Illinois, unanimously upheld Michael Kosh's criminal conviction and sentencing for spoofing. Mr. Kosha was originally indicted and charged with 6 counts of spoofing in October 2015 under the anti-spoofing provisional law as enacted as part of the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act of 2010. Mr. Kosha was also charged with 6 counts of commodity fraud. Subsequently, after a 7-day trial, Mr. Kosha was convicted by a jury of all charges and later sentenced to 36 months imprisonment by a federal district court judge. In his appeal, Mr. Kosha claimed that anti-spoofing law was unconstitutionally vague, or failing that, the evidence at trial did not support his conviction. Mr. Kosha also claimed that his commodities law fraud conviction was likewise not supported by the evidence at trial, and that his sentence by the district court judge was based on an incorrect measure of the losses sustained by traders as a result of his conduct. The appeals court rejected these arguments, holding that the anti-spoofing law gave, quote-unquote, clear notice and did not, quote, allow for arbitrary enforcement, end of quote. As a result, the law was not unconstitutional, said the court. In addition, the appeals court said that the evidence supported Mr. Kosha's spoofing and commodity fraud convictions and that the district court sentencing, quote, was on solid ground, end of quote. Mr. Kosha was the first person criminally charged under the anti-spoofing provision of Dodd-Frank. I have a few observations on this and the other criminal action for spoofing under Dodd-Frank in the article version of Bridging the Week on the website. Check it out. The Division of Market Oversight of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission granted relief from a commission regulation that requires certain persons otherwise required to aggregate their futures positions with those of certain other affiliated persons for position limit calculation purposes to file a notice of an available exemption from such requirement in advance of relying on such exemption. Instead, a person may rely on an eligible exemption without filing an advance notice, but must file a notice within 5 business days after being requested to do so by the Commission or a designated contract market. The Division's new release also expands who might be eligible for certain exemptions, as well as what information must be addressed in any notice filings. Implementation of the CFTC's advance notice filing requirement was previously delayed by the Division until August 14th. The Division's current relief is effective through August 12th, 2019. The Office of Compliance Inspections and Examinations of the Securities and Exchange Commission issued a report saying that firms have, quote, increased cybersecurity preparedness, end of quote, since 2014. However, the SEC's examination unit also concluded that firms' cybersecurity policy and procedures are not uniformly tailored to their business because they are too vague or general and are not always followed or enforced. In some cases, such policy and procedures do not reflect actual practices. In addition, the SEC's examination unit concluded that firms do not appear, quote-unquote, adequately to conduct system maintenance, such as timely installing software patches to address system vulnerabilities to protect customer information. This could be problematic since the SEC's examinations unit priorities, or at least one of them for this year, is cybersecurity. And finally, the Bank of Tokyo Mitsubishi UFJ agreed to pay a fine of $600,000 to resolve charges related to the alleged spoofing activity of one of its unnamed employees identified as quote-unquote Trader A from at least July 2009 through December 2014. According to the CFTC, on multiple occasions during the relevant time, Trader A engaged in layering activities on one side of a CME group market, including treasuries and eurodollars, in order to facilitate the execution of a resting order on the other side of the market. After becoming aware of these activities, the bank suspended Trader A, reporting the trading to the CFTC, commenced a quote-unquote expansive internal review, assisted an investigation by the Commission's Division of Enforcement, and initiated an overhaul of its system to better detect spoofing. The CFTC charged the bank with violating the anti-spoofing provision of the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act and a provisional law that makes an employer responsible for the acts of its employees. In the CFTC's order settling this matter, the CFTC recognized the bank's cooperation with the division. More importantly, in a separate press release, the newly appointed director of the CFTC's Enforcement Division expressed his expectation that going forward, trading firms prevent spoofing before it occurs. Is this really practical? Prevent? Well, that's it for this week's edition of Bridging the Week. As always, there is more information in each article, and more articles on the article version of Bridging the Week on the website. Check it out. I'm Gary DeWaal. Have a great week, and until the next edition of Bridging the Week, ciao.